recently struck by an intriguing game design dilemma I'd like to discuss with you all. It's a deceptively simple question, and yet, like an erection in tight latex underpants, the more you think about it, the stickier it gets. Question: should a game get easier or harder as you go through it? At first shake, the answer seemed obvious. It should get harder, surely. That's what a difficulty curve is. This is Game Design 101. You take it easy on the player at first while they get to grips with everything, and gradually ramp things up, culminating in challenging boss fights that are like final exams for all the skills the player has been developing this whole time. But I was given pause for thought when an argument broke out in Discord in response to my Assassin's Creed ZP. I'd complained that the various abilities you acquire through the course of that game, from skill trees and crafted upgrades and such like, have the effect of making things way too easy by the end, especially that one super attack where you highlight 4 or 5 guys and auto-stab the lot of them in one go, like you're deleting a group of icons off your desktop. But the comment that sparked the debate argued that surely the player is supposed to get more powerful as they proceed through the game. That's what the whole concept of leveling up is about in any game with RPG elements. You reward the player for their effort by making them stronger and giving them the chance to turn the tables on the level 1 goblins that bullied them at the start. And this was the dilemma that stuck with me, listeners, because it seemed like there are two generally accepted game design orthodoxies here that contradict each other. A game needs to get harder, and at the same time, the player needs to get more powerful. Surely those would cancel each other out. Gosh, one wonders how we got through 40-odd years of game development without anyone noticing the contradiction. Well, not quite. If it came down to throwing one of the two out of the life raft forever, game get harder would probably win out over player get stronger, because it's the far older, more established principle. Space Invaders gets harder because the aliens get faster. The player doesn't get any better at going pew-pew. The basic abilities of Mario do not change from start to finish. Player gets stronger was more or less strictly relegated to the RPG genre. One could argue it is the sole requisite for being an RPG or a game with RPG elements, by no means a fundament of game design the way ramping up the challenge is. Modern game design, especially in AAA, seems to place a much greater emphasis on letting the player feel powerful and feel more powerful over time. I mentioned way back in my Do Games Have to Be Fun EP that modern games skew more towards catharsis than challenge. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, it's just a matter of getting the balance right. To go back to our dilemma, the fact is, yes, game get hard and player get strong do cancel each other out, and that's the idea. Because once they've been cancelled out, what's left behind is a little thing called balance. Yes, you get more powerful and learn new skills and acquire new options and solutions, and to counterpoint that, the game has to throw more and more complicated situations at you that require mastery of those solutions. And that second part is where Assassin's Creed Mirage fucks it up. It doesn't really ramp up the challenge of sneaking around enemy strongholds stabbing dudes in the back. It doesn't introduce dudes who can't be stabbed in the back or dudes who detect you better because they remembered to put their contacts in today. All Mirage tends to do, probably in service to the whole back to basics intention, is make the enemy strongholds larger. And that's not harder, that just takes longer. And sometimes it doesn't even do that. I found with the big complicated palaces, I could usually find an easy way to steamroll straight to the middle of the place, then hide in a bush and make sure no one's following. And I make no apologies for taking the easiest route available, even if other routes might hypothetically be a more stimulating challenge. My instinct is to be efficient, because I don't know what the game's going to pull out of its sleeve next. That's why whenever I play a Far Cry game, I invest in a silenced sniper rifle at the earliest opportunity, because those enemy soldiers are a vicious bunch, but they never figure out not to have all the guards and alarm boxes in their compounds exposed to open air, and with line of sight on a nice roomy bush on a hill half a mile away. So the Assassin's Creed Mirage auto-stab 4 guys power particularly rubs me up the wrong way, because the game never gets challenging enough to counter it. But it also doesn't quite gel with the idea of player gets stronger, because the thing about creeping around stabbing dudes is that that's the core mechanic of the game. The suspense, the timing, the strategizing what order to take the guards out without alerting the others, that's the stuff that we're here for. A power that just auto-stabs 4 of them isn't just making the game too easy, it's flat out removing the game. As a general rule of thumb, the best way to reward the player is to give them more gameplay. Give them money to buy new weapons or unlock a new area with more challenges. If you reward them by taking away gameplay, you're tacitly stating that your gameplay sucks and they should want to skip it. And this is by far from the first time Ubisoft has done this. The whole reason Assassin's Creed has to keep rebooting and re-examining itself is because it keeps mistaking innovation for just giving us more, easier ways to get the stabbing done, particularly in the Ezio trilogy. By the end of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, if you did all the assassin recruiting side stuff, you get the ability to wave your hand and make every guard in the vicinity instantly drop dead. And using that was like using the warp whistle in Super Mario 3. It's not making me feel more powerful, it's making me feel like I cheated myself out of gameplay. Oh, and let's not forget it was Ubisoft who at one point were trying to flog time saver passes for their games for additional microtransactions, as in you pay to not have to play as much of the game. I can't help feeling this was one of those revolutionary ideas brought in by a manager who has never played a fucking game in their lives, but got the job because they used to play golf with Yves Guillemot's tax accountant. Someone who thinks players genuinely only want to get to the ends of games rather than actually play the fucking things. Sorry, this is veering into a different rant altogether. I didn't mean to just pick on Ubisoft this whole time when I'm seeing this come up in AAA a lot lately. Any stealth game where you unlock the ability to see dudes through walls is almost always kicking the legs out from under the challenge. There's a reason why they banned wall hacking in Counter-Strike. And then there's Hogwarts Legacy and that one ability you can unlock that turns enemies into explodey barrels, which made me wonder why the Harry Potter universe authorities ever made a fuss about all that Avada Kedavra business. But anyway, to conclude my response to the Discord argument that started all this, yes, it is a prerequisite of any game that has RPG elements in even the vaguest sense that the player should get more powerful. But it is also true that the game needs to get proportionally harder if it wants to stay interesting. And there have been many big games lately that make me worry that the second part of that equation is being neglected. Think of it like you're throwing a birthday party for someone you really hate. You get them in with some nice presents and decorations and get them all happy and smug on their stupid fat face, so it's all the more satisfying when you get them to the cake and wham, punji stick trap.
Bare midriff, exposed shoulders, wind blowing across your nips. Cover yourself up, if you want to, with Second Wind shirts. For a reason we can't legally discuss, our artists have had a little free time, so they've come up with brand new designs for our brand new channel and mostly new shows. Fully Ramblematic, Design Delve, Cold Take, and the Second Wind itself. It's some kind of bird. Act fast because some of these designs are only available for a limited time. We've partnered with Shark Robot to make the shopping experience as easy as possible. Because let's be honest, life is hard sometimes. One day you're happy and working, and the next day you're called into a meeting and HR is there and you're just fucked. Head to sharkrobot.com/second-wind or click on the link in the description to check out all of our shirts today. And I think there's a desk pad too. That's fun.